Hey kids, I've got something really exciting to show you today. It's the Ampapa A1. It's a 3-in-1. You're probably going to use it as a 2-in-1. I've been using it as a 1-in-1. Confused? No, don't be. I'm going to straighten it all out for you. Hi, I'm Bob, and you are in the United States of Analog. And specifically, you are in my beautiful Tokyo Jazz Kisa inspired bar that I built with my own two hands with the help of some friends. And the video is elsewhere on my channel here. You can look for that and see how I put this together. It's one of my vinyl listening spaces, and the CDs over there, all my vinyl. I've got my holiday vinyl, my Christmas vinyl on display. And it's going to come into play. This room comes into play with this piece of equipment. Now, here's the box it comes in. And you can start practicing pronouncing this name. And it's not the easiest name to say. Ampapa. No, see, I said it wrong. Ampapa. It's the Ampapa A1. And this is the very cool box. It's a really tight fit here. I don't know if I can. It's kind of got that Apple-inspired cool packaging. You hear that vacuum? That was exciting. All right. Yeah, see, a very cool box. Very well designed. Got a little diagram there. You've got the manual. You've got the inspection sticker. They give you a little tube cleaner there. Quick start guides, some cables. The tubes themselves come well packed in these individual boxes. I'm assuming they're matched. And we'll talk about the tubes and what's inside and what this does in just a second. Again, it's a 3-in-1 unit. It's a Phono preamp, it's a preamp, and it's a headphone amp all in one. Now, at $140, I suspect the main attraction of the Ampapa A1 is going to be the Phono stage for $140. Now, I recently reviewed the Black Ice Audio Big Boy Phono preamp, but that's going to run you over a GER, and that was the Fusion 9, I believe. I gave that rave reviews. It was my first Big Boy Phono preamp. But not everybody has that kind of jack to spend on a Phono preamp. If you can do it, it's well worth it. Don't get me wrong. But in my case, I have 4 turntables now, not even including my 2 Audio-Technica Soundburgers. But yeah, I've got a studio deck, a MoFi studio deck. I've got an X2 Carbon Evo from Project. I also recently refurbished a Thorn's TD-166 Mark II, and I have right behind me in my bar here a beautiful anniversary edition of the Technics 1200 M7L, and I love that thing. And one of the reasons that's in here is because it has pretty lights. Not only does it perform well, but it lights up nice. And so does that Macintosh amp, and so does that Gelita tube amp. What I'm telling you is that I like to put gear in this bar that is not only exciting from an audio standpoint, also exciting to look at, to give my patrons, quote unquote, something to look at other than me behind the bar, serving drinks, slinging shots of Japanese whiskey. So yeah, that's why I have like VU meters and glowing tubes and LS50 Metacones that are red, and that's why I come to you in green today, because this unit has beautiful glowing tubes. Now, it's not really the tubes that you see glowing, it's the LEDs underneath the tubes here. And again, I'll talk about the tubes specifically in a second. But let's run down some of the features here. Now, this is a beautiful metal case. It feels good. It has rounded edges. It's also perforated all around, so that the LEDs that light the tubes from underneath also kind of project through these micro holes on the top and the bottom of the case. It has an embossed or a reverse embossed Ampapa logo there. You've got bass control here, you've got treble control, and you have volume here. These knobs are great. These remind me of the knobs on one of my Fender Telecasters, except the Telecaster knobs don't have machined silver lines there. But yeah, these things click nice. There's a nice range in here. They're not digital like the knobs on that NAD amp I reviewed recently. These are the real thing. There's little clicks in there. Very, very subtle clicks. And there are a lot of them in each of these knobs, but a great feel. 2 tubes. You have a choice here between green LEDs to light them from underneath, or you've got orange LEDs. There you go. We'll represent the orange LEDs too. This is the dumbest review ever, right? Listen to these. These are super cool switches here. I love these. And right here is the mini jack for the headphones. You've got power on off. You've got phono or line. Again, you can use this as a standard preamp if you want, or you can use it as a phono preamp, which I've been doing. And you have the selection here between green lights, orange lights, or no lights underneath the tubes. On the back, we've got a ground. We've got phono in. We have a line in if you're using it as a standard preamp, and we have RCA out if you're using it for a preamp, and of course the power supply, which is separate. It's not in here, it's separate. And it comes in this beautiful box, as I mentioned, 140 bucks. I bought this specifically to put into this bar area because with 4 turntables, I'm always collecting phono preamps and checking them out. I need them for all of my turntables. And I know some turntables come with preamps built in, but I'm a grown man and I have regular turntables that don't have phono preamps. So I'm always looking for good values. I've been running this thing for about 3 weeks in here, and it is absolutely fantastic, especially for these purposes. Again, this isn't my reference room. This is where I come to have fun. So I want clean sound, I want good detail, and I want a lot of punch. That's why I have Klipsch Heresy 3s in here. That's why I have a Macintosh 50-watt amplifier up there. I want a lot of warm punch. I want some detail. I've got a subwoofer in the corner, and this is worked out perfectly in here. The tubes that are lit from underneath are nice and bright. I have some control here with the phono preamp. If I want to add a little more treble, I want to dial down the bass a little bit because I do have that subwoofer over there. It's really, really nice, and I can't say enough about the build construction. $140. Now, I'm going to get you some close-ups here of the Ampapa A1 as I tell you a little more about it. Well, the frequency response is 20 to 20 as you might expect, plus or minus 0.5 dB. Headphone power is going to vary depending on the ohms from 125 milliwatts down to 30 milliwatts for 128 ohm headphones, and the headphone impedance range is 16 to 300 ohms. Signal to noise 106 dB and 80 dB for phono. So not super spectacular, but you know, close enough for government work, close enough for bar duty, that's for sure. It weighs about 2 pounds, but it's solid feeling. The tubes, they're Jan GE 5654 vacuum tubes. Yeah, the tubes give you a nice, warm sound as you would expect, but I've also noticed that the A1 extracts a good deal of detail. I was just listening, before I started this review, I was listening to this great Bob Dylan record, which I hadn't heard in a few years. This is an OG copy of Empire Burlesque, and A1, along with my Techniques turntable, we're pulling out more detail on that record than I can remember in past listenings. Now, some of you may be using this as a preamp. I think the tone controls are very handy. This is great for a desktop situation. Some folks may use the 3.5 millimeter headphone amp here. I will caution you that when you put the headphones in, turn the level way down. Using this as a phono preamp, I was over here in the 3 o'clock position. When I was listening on headphones, I needed to dial down the master volume here to the 9 o'clock. So watch that volume control. But I've been using this exclusively as a preamp, and it does a fantastic job. And it looks great, as I mentioned. It feels great in the hand, though I don't hold it while I'm playing. I don't use the headphone jack, but in a desktop situation, if you haven't scraped up enough money yet to get a headphone amplifier like the fantastic Gishelli Labs, then this will do you for a while. It's very mid-centric. It's got a lot of that mid-range sound, but you can bring some more detail in with these controls, and that's very helpful. Plus it looks super cool. So we're talking about $140, and this is marketed, by the way, by Duke Audio. This is quite a value. This is going to stay in this room. This is going to continue to do the phono preamp duties in this bar area, and I dig it. I like it. I think you're going to like it. I think you're going to like it a lot. There's a link below, along with some other links of some equipment that I like, bringing you some more fun-fi today from a land far, far away, the Ampapa A1. Ask for it by name, and I'll see you next time in the United States of Analog.